Hey people, this is me. I haven't posted a video in a long time. I'm going to show you what I've started doing to the car. Watching many episodes of Voice Script Garage, which is a great show, great YouTube channel. Motivated me to get out here in the extremely cold early March and late February weather. You can see through that window there in my shitty non-heated garage to do some work on my charger. First off, I decided to finally, after like 20 years of being harassed by this rust in the back that just really got to me, I decided to cut into the car, find out what was going on. This car originally only has 52,000 miles on it, for real. They did a really crap job, original job of just basically bondoing over a bunch of rust pinholes back here. So I finally got the fortitude to cut into that and figure it out. These cuts are just kind of exploratory. I got the sheet metal and the panels over right here to make patches and fix this correctly, but I got to figure out what's under there first. I got the trunk extensions as well, because those need, they're definitely in need of slicing off and being replaced. So that was the beginning of my project. And that just really motivated me to roll on to in the trunk here, start hacking away and kind of restockifying this here car a bit. It's still going to be a very fast street car, but the trunk wasn't really laid out the way I wanted. And the electric fuel pump and the lines and the main power cutoff switch was all in the way directly of the passenger side tailpipe. So I decided to just hack this apart, and it's going to get all kind of patched up and done a little bit more cleanly. The sump in the trunk, I tried to close it in, and it was just going to look like trash, so I cut it out in lieu of a patch. That hole will be patched too. That's where the motor or the fuel pump stuck up into the trunk for clearance. I'll show you underneath where I had to cut out some bracing and shit, and this was terrible, agonizing work in the cold out here laying on my back on this concrete. I'm not as young as I used to be, that's for sure. That all looks pretty good, flap wheeled down. It's nice and smooth. It just has to be undercoated, painted. This side as well. Now, I wish when I was younger I had some better knowledge and skill. I would have spot welded those on the frame. So I kind of flap wheeled down the shitty fucking bead welds I did there. It's not the best work, I admit. But it's way too much to cut the trunk floor out and redo it. Whenever I decide to sell this car, somebody might decide to do that themselves. I don't know. But it's good enough for me. I can't stress on all of it too much. It's done, So this is just going to be patched in, closed. I have a 20-gallon fuel cell over there on the bench that's going to be replacing that, I should say. This plastic, I'm not a fan of these plastic fuel cells. They're not good. These these washers always inevitably leak, and they're never good. I'm going to steal the fittings out of this and the rollover valve and junk the rest. But yeah, car's not really in too bad a shape. I got to make some sheet metal for it. These side exit spin techs are going to be replaced. I handmade that exhaust exit, because I couldn't run the tailpipes what I wanted to, so I had to make something, and that's what I could create by hand. And an oval exit 3-inch exhaust actually fit. Hopefully when I get I have the TTI pipes on order now, the 3-inch tailpipes. Hopefully it'll have a little bit more clearance too and just be a better overall fit. I'm never a fan of these side exit deals. Excuse me, the cold out here sucks. So on to some other stuff. So also, another problem I might have talked about, I think in the video, was the braking on this machine. Isn't bad for the drag strip, but it's pretty inadequate for the street. I've measured the power at the caliper. This is a four piston or a 4-disc car. Now it originally was four-wheel power drum. But the braking on this isn't good. we measured the pressure. It's about 500 pounds per wheel, and that's just not enough for disc apparently. I read recently somewhere you need about 1,000 pounds per wheel. So I'm about half that. And it equates, if you go through a hillbilly math comparison, the car stops about half as good as it should. So I'm thinking that that's kind of accurate. So this master cylinder I got from the Dr. Diff, which I recommend that site, that guy. He's pretty helpful. It's pretty good stuff, good service. That adapter I got from there, if you see it on the back of the black, under between the black plate and the master cylinder. So what I ended up doing is ordering this guy, right? So this is a from Dr. Diff as well. This is an under the hood offset bracketry that's going to raise this guy up and to the outside of the, well, not really to the outside of the car. It's just going to raise it up, clear the valve cover some. This is a Hemi car setup, and that master cylinder there, which I think, I'm not sure the bore size of that anymore, but it should work. If it doesn't, I'll just order another one of those, whatever. But so that bolts directly on here with that adapter. So that should all work. We just have to bend up some lines. But this car only has about 8 to 8.5, 9 inches of vacuum at idle, which is not going to work this power brake booster. So I went to the Master Power Brake website and come up with this guy in this box. If we can see it. This was an expensive little guy, this item here, but it's really well made. It's high quality. It's actually pretty hefty. It's pretty heavy. Look at the mounting flange on this guy. This is an electric vacuum pump setup, which goes for, put the hose back in the right box. Apparently it's used on the electric, there's that tank while I'm standing here. It works on, or they made it for electric vehicles today, so it's automotive industry, high quality piece that should last, outlast me. So that's going to be mounted here where the battery box was, and it's going to put some suction on the power brake booster over there. And it's triggered whenever you start the car, when it's low vacuum, and whenever you touch the brakes, which is a pretty cool setup. It's pretty slick actually, and it's a little hefty. I'm kind of paranoid. I don't like mounting weight in the front of my car, but it has to be done. And I'll be able to stop this thing in a reasonable manner. At the drag strip, it's not a big deal because you have like 1/4 mile worth of shutdown lane. You can work the discs and they don't overheat like a drum brake will. But so that's in the works, which actually got me thinking that down the line I may actually decide to start building a Hemi for this car, and that will take years of saving and buying part by part because they're not cheap. I might end up selling the bike and purchasing a Hemi block for down the road and just saving up over time and spending on shit. But that'd be cool. I mean, this is a great engine, and I'm a fan of wedges completely. But who doesn't want a Hemi? They're just amazing. And I have some parts on here that I could use on the Hemi as well. I mean, I'm just basically justifying my desire for one here. But the whole water pump system, the fan, the clutch fan, the distributor, the carb, the spacer, the air cleaner, a lot of that stuff can be reutilized. The oil pan, the pickup and all that system can be reutilized, as well as the distributor, the ignition, all this stuff on a Hemi. So, I wouldn't be totally starting from scratch, but, justify it as I will. It would be cool. And I just hate changing spark plugs on a wedge. It's a pain in the ass. And with this brake booster in there, it's going to be even worse. So, maybe I will. Maybe I will do it. So, yeah, I've been off YouTube for a long time. Haven't been posting any videos or nothing. So, maybe I'll do a few more. I might have mentioned this in the video already. I got the TTI tailpipes 3 inches ordered. I'm going to mock them up there and get them kind of spaced because as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of difficult to find a muffler length that works for the TTI system. I just can't find any information on the net on if it's a long, like, I don't know, it's like 23 or 19 inch, whatever the muffler's supposed to be on these cars. Or for that system, I should add. So I'm going to have to get the tailpipes and kind of try to just measure it and figure it out. Hopefully, I don't know, it seems to me that head pipe in there, if you guys can see it, is a little low for some reason. But I don't know. Maybe I'll have to kind of tweak that up a little bit and get it a little tighter to the car once I get the mufflers and stuff. But that's a little down the road. Trying to plan out this project better. There's quite a little bit of Bondo in this body too, in the back anyway. It kind of is just, it goes from almost nothing to a big glob back to nothing. And I work with a guy who was an ex-body guy at a real shop. He's going to help me fix this, thankfully for him. Thanks, John. And he said it's not really unheard of to have this much body fill. My finger's kind of a reference in older cars because the metal's a lot thicker and it holds it better and it won't just bust off. And when I get this patched, he's going to come along and try to reshape that a little better. Because I've always thought that this body line was a bit weak in this car. He's going to try to bring that out and get rid of some of that excess Bondo. But other than that, the rust on this car is really negligible. I mean, you can see the frame on that thing is... I did the undercoating and painting underneath just to preserve it. But you can see how just there is really no scaling or anything on this car. The only rust was clearly in there where the dirt just comes in through that little stupid hole and builds up and collects moisture. Because the rear window does leak on this a little bit, like pretty much all the old cars did. Keep stuffing my fat finger in the video. So I think it did leak a little bit, and then that down in that stupid trunk extension hole collects moisture, and it's just basically a lot of dirt came out of that when I cut them open. I sucked up a pile of dirt. You could have made a kid's sandbox out of it. But yeah, so here's the car. Again, first video in a couple years probably, but yeah, this is what I've been doing. Thanks again to Voice Script Garage channel for getting me super motivated again, watching his funny videos and saying, why am I not out there working on my old car and getting it back to where I and other people can enjoy it. Soon that'll be closed in. One anecdotal note, I'm gonna, maybe not anecdotal, that's not the right word, but extra note, that fuel cell I'm putting in is gonna be spaced up so the sump is inside the trunk and the lines are gonna be in the trunk to keep it more clean. I'm probably gonna use a bulkhead fitting down by the wheel hump here. That's why I want the tailpipes now as well, so I can kind of see where the interference might be. Well, I'm shaking the camera like an idiot, but all right, thanks guys. Have fun. Hopefully the weather gets nicer soon for everybody. Later.